Welcome everybody to Quick Tip Thursday. Thanks so much for joining me here today. My name's Nicole. Today's topic is Miniature Scenes 101. Super fun effect and easily achievable with our tilt shift simulation in Topaz Lens Effects. So just a couple quick technical things. If you're having any trouble with sound or your screen, just go ahead and re-log into the webinar. That usually solves the issue. Or you can call in by phone and listen that way as well. If you have any questions, type them into your questions module on your GoToWebinar panel. Ashley Robinson, our product manager, is going to be answering those during the presentation. And then after the presentation, there will be a small Q&A session, so I'll answer a couple then as well. So let's get started. It is a quick tip, so it'll go pretty quick. Tip number 1, use high-angle images if possible. Because we're trying to simulate a scale model image, like we're actually looking at tiny scale model toys instead of a real life-size image, the easiest way to get our mind's eye or our eye to really be fooled into believing that is to be at a high vantage point. The reason being is models are small. So usually when you're actually viewing them, they're tiny compared to us, so we're usually looking down on them. It's just it's going to be a more simple way to make your image feel like a scale model. Tip number 2, try not to over blur or under blur your out of focus area. There's a spot that's just perfect for each image, and some images will be more blurry, some images will be less blurry in that out of focus area, whatever works for that image. And you're really going to have to play around with the little slider to determine what that is for each image. So just keep that in mind, and with Lens Effects, it's really simple to do. I'll show you that in just a sec. Also, tip number 3, what I find to be really important is don't forget about your saturation and brightness. Toy scale models are usually really bright, really saturated, and so don't forget about that image adjustment when you're in there. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'll show you a few before and afters here, and then we'll come back to this image, and then I think we'll do our plain image as well. So here is before here. Notice how everything is in perfect sharpness, actually. And we're able to change it to this image very quickly. It now looks like it's a tiny, tiny toy. Now, this is one of the examples that I'm showing you that are not from a high vantage point. This is looking directly towards it. But it does have a very simple, clean lines, and it already has a toy-like character about the structure itself. I mean, it is a treehouse. It's a very awesome treehouse, but it is almost toy-like to start off with, and that's why I was able to change this into an image that looks like a scale model, because it has those toy-like characters. You know, a lot of us aren't able to go up and take these aerial shots of these scenes like a lot of the toy type of images you'll see out there. So while this is a really effective way of making it seem like you're looking at a scaled model, because you're really high up and it just makes it that much easier. But most of us aren't able to get up there in a flight like this, so, and taking pictures out of a commercial plane really doesn't give you the best view like that. So I find it's really a lot of fun to try to get to the highest point in a structure and take pictures out the window, down on certain scenes, so on buildings or through windows. And let's see here. Here's before, looking through an airport window, and here's after. Very cool, a lot of fun. Let's see here. This is from a somewhat high vantage point, but not really. I mean, I'm walking through on this path over here, but because it's a bench, because it's lower to the ground, this type of angle is pretty nice. And this original image was actually much bigger. much more sky, a couple more houses over here to the right. And I was able to just crop that out because as I was like scrolling through images, I saw, this might be a really good option for a toy model type of effect because I could just crop those houses out and get that out of the way. The whole point is to not see anything that you or your mind's eye would make it feel like a realistic image, like a huge gigantic house over here on the right was doing that for me, so I just chopped it out of there and I was able to get a pretty successful toy-like image here. Okay, first let's just go to this plane. We're running out of time already. I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's take this background directly into Lens Effects. Go to Filter, Topaz Labs, Topaz Lens Effects. Now over here on the effects panel we do have the camera tilt shift simulation. Just make sure you click on that. What'll pop up is the default settings for everything. It usually will not be perfect for your image, especially for the effect position or the plane of focus where that's located within your frame. So you can come down here and start off somewhere where you think it might work. So maybe the horizontal band centered. Okay, what I'm going to try to do with this image is get the front end of this plane and an area from about here to here in focus, the rest out of focus. So I'm starting off right in the middle. I think I'm going to come over here and actually press Effect Position, click on near the front end of my plane, so that works great. Now I can come to my focus area width, change that up real quick, make that a little bit wider. Come over here to my transition, get a smoother transition between my focus plane and my unfocused area, and then I'm going to take this blur amount down to kind of that perfect spot that starts to occur. I like to just sit here and play with it until it really starts to trick even my own eye, For that's starting to work for me. So I'm going to leave it right there. And I am going to come down here to my image adjustments. Now again, we want to brighten our images. If it's not bright enough, I'm just going to brighten a little bit. This is a pretty bright day outside. And I'm also going to up my saturation quite a bit. I think I'm even going to try to make these reds primary red. So let's just keep going there. Okay, we're starting to get there. Everything is starting to look kind of plasticky, really saturated, really bright, model-esque even. Okay, so here's where we started before. Here's where we are now. Now I'm going to actually take my contrast down on this image. I usually wouldn't suggest taking it down, but this image already has some really nice bright shadows. That's something that is also important to look for when you're looking for images or looking for scenes that might be perfect for this. Models tend to be lit very harshly because they're lit by lamps or some sort of overhead false lighting, not a very natural lighting. So really bright sunny day is perfect for this. So there's already these really dark shadows. So I feel comfortable taking some of this contrast out, and the reason that I want to do that is because this concrete, the ground here, has some texture to it, and I just want to take a little bit of that out, and I think that'll help with the overall feeling that this is fake. Okay, so here's before. Again, we started out at a really good place because we're taking a shot down on top of this scene, and we're looking from above. And now I think we've actually started to achieve this fake model look. So this is a great image to start off with. I really like this image too. I think it's a lot of fun. Let me take this blur down just a little. Okay, and that's how easy it is. And if you want to change your effect position, all you need to do is click on the effect position, change it up again. This is something I like to suggest as well because sometimes in other programs, that's probably the most difficult thing for me to have to deal with is if I'm making these nice gradients from here to here and then from here to here, or some sort of gradient, I'm going to have to, if I want to change my focal plane or the area that I want focused, if I don't like the way it turned out, I usually have to start my gradient over. So that's why I like this program, because it's just really quickly, just click, change it. It's great. Okay, we're moving on. Say okay, go back into Photoshop. Went from here to here very quickly, just following those simple tips. This can be a pretty quick process here for you. Okay, now I'm going to do this treehouse. I love this treehouse. Okay, let's just go ahead and go into our backgrounds, make a copy, make another copy. Sorry about that. Topaz Labs, Topaz Lens Effects. And I'm going to come straight over here to my horizontal band centered. Again, this is just to show you how quick this process can be. I'm going to press Effect, Position, put it where I want it. There we go. Take my focus area width up, get it to the right position for this image, which is I think somewhere right around there. Then I'm going to change my blur amount. Come down on that, get it to be a little bit more natural. Okay, and now I'm going to change my transition just a little bit. Get that transition to actually be a little bit more smooth, less harsh. Okay, now when I'm happy with that, I can move on to my image adjustments. Come over here, brighten that up. Just take it really bright, get some of those highlights to really pop. Take that saturation, I'm going to go really bright there as well. Again, I don't know many model toys that don't have great color to them. So that's why we really enhance that saturation. The contrast I'm going to leave alone here because I do have a really strong contrast between my dark and my light areas, and I'm happy with this. So I'm going to press OK, and that's how easy it is. Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark that I always like to keep our quick tips to, but I do want to answer these questions that are coming through. So anybody who needs to leave due to time constraints, totally understand. Have a great day. I hope that you're able to apply some of these tips into the images that you're wanting to create this kind of fake miniature effect with. It's a really fast process with Lens Effects. If you don't have Lens Effects, go ahead and download a free trial. You can do that. I'll send that off with our follow-up email. And even if you don't use Lens Effects for this tilt shift simulation, keep those tips in mind. If possible, take a high vantage point. Look down on your images. If it's not possible, or if you don't want to necessarily do that, like with this image, you are able still to get that toy-like effect. Just make sure that you have kind of a more simple, almost toy-like image to start off with, and you really get to enhance that idea or that illusion that it is a miniature. Let's see here. The next tip was to find the exact right blurriness for your image. You know, each image is going to have, it's not a set standard or a set percentage of blur for your focused area to achieve this effect. It's going to be something you need to play around with for each image to get that right look for that image. And lastly, go ahead and pump up that saturation, pump up the brightness, make sure the contrast works for that particular image. Again, you want to have a seemingly brightly lit type of environment with stronger shadows and really saturated colors. So I hope that helps. All right, let me answer a couple questions here. The question is this doesn't seem real. Just talking about this particular image, how it goes from being blurred to being in focus, being back out of focus, all on the same plane right here, that's not really reality. Well, in normal circumstances, when you're shooting with a more common lens, this isn't something that you would be able to achieve with your regular, 50 to 100 millimeter lens. This is something that is specific to the abilities of a tilt shift camera and a tilt shift lens. Normal lenses, you're able to manipulate the depth of field within your image, but within tilt shift photography, you're not only able to manipulate the depth of field, but you're also able to manipulate your perspective of that focus. So it's pretty cool. So this is an accurate simulation. This might be a little bit extreme with the amounts of blur that I've created here and the amount of focus, but what it's actually creating on the screen is achievable in normal tilt shift photography. So I hope that helps explain a little bit. Definitely look it up. I know I was confused for a while on all the ways of manipulating the plane of focus, but it's actually really interesting, and you can get a lot of really cool effects out of this type of photography. So whether or not you have the camera, I mean, that's why we have this simulation here for you, because you can easily achieve some of the things that you know, maybe want to achieve but can't afford a super expensive camera or a really super expensive lens. So, all right, next question. Can we change the angle of the focus? Yes, absolutely. Within the, I think it's the fourth slider down within the tilt shift adjustments, you are able to manipulate the angle. Right now we're at a horizontal 180 degree angle. You are able to manipulate it completely all the way around, 0 to 180 degrees. So it's yes, you are able to achieve that, and a lot of fun actually. So okay, the next question is about why we blur. Why are we blurring these things? Okay, the reason being is what we're trying to do with this simulation is to simulate the fact that these are really tiny objects, like really, really small miniatures, miniature scale models. So in theory, what we're trying to show is that we're really up close to them. Because they're so tiny, you have to get really up close. Now imagine in you've seen those macro photography shots of like let's say a leaf or petals that have water droplets on them. You get really right up close to it, and you're able to capture the beautiful water droplet on the petal, but then the front of the petal is really blurred and the back of the petal is really blurred. It's just that water droplet that's in focus. And the reason that you're able to do that is because you're so close to your subject. So you're able to create this extreme shallow depth of field. And that's what we're trying to do here with this blurring. We're just trying to simulate that we're really up close to this object, and the way that we can do that more easily is by creating that idea of that shallow depth of field. When we see that shallow depth of field, we kind of think, oh yeah, this must mean we're really, really, really close to it. And so that's how you're able to kind of trick your eye into believing that. And that is why we blur. I hope that helps. Okay, thanks for the great questions, everybody. I think that's it. Again, the tips that I have for you are try to stay at a high vantage point, high angle type of image if possible. If not, try to make it a more simple subject like we were looking at with that treehouse. Tip number 2 is that to get just the right amount of blur. Don't over blur your image, don't under blur it. Give it some saturation, give it some brightness, make sure that you're taking, make sure that it looks like a scale model would, with bright lights, pretty extreme shadows, etc. So I hope that helps. Good luck taking photos and playing around and doing these fake miniatures. If you have any cool photos, go ahead and send them to us or post them on our Facebook account. We'd love to see them. All right, so take care, everybody, and we'll be seeing you soon. Bye-bye.